Welcome, White Sox fans, to another edition of White Sox Daily Live. Here are your hosts, Ian Eskridge and Danny Miller.
Well, hello, White Sox fans, and welcome to another edition of White Sox Daily Live. Hey, Doll Steak, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for your flapping meats. Appreciate that. What's up, James? How you doing? Good to see you. Well, Danny, how are you, Mr. Danny Miller, co-host?
I'm all right, man. If any of you, I know James saw some comments of mine in a post on the old Book of Faces.
Mm.
And, in typical Danny fashion, I was a little, let's just say I was a little busy and, running a little bit behind on my way home from work tonight. But, I'm here, man, and I'm doing okay. I got to enjoy a little bit of a late birthday weekend with the wifey this weekend.
Mm.
She
Very
treated
nice.
me to a nice juicy steak dinner at
Ooh,
Crapel Steakhouse.
juicy.
You know, it's a popular spot here in the southwest side and the southwest burbs. And from there we went to a Blackhawks game, which she
Ooh.
surprised me with tickets with earlier in the week. So wasn't expecting that. And we got to see a Blackhawks winner on Saturday night. So all in all, it was a good time. Went and hung out at a local proprietor of libations
Mm.
afterwards. And there's a handful of folks that I know that have birthdays all in the same week and actually on the same day as mine. So we kind of did like there was a birthday party for one of them that I might have invaded and uh, enjoyed along with her. Spent some time with White Sox Daily owns Mark Orr, pardon me.
Marcor.
Donuts, yeah, Donuts 33, and his wife were putting this little party together. So yeah, it was a good time, man. All in all, good weekend, and of course. All the White Sox news that has come across the
All of
wire
it.
here the last few days. I
Yeah.
mean, just so much to talk about. I cannot wait to get into it, man. How you doing this evening, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. I had a show over the weekend that was fun. Went and did a holiday party with a band that I worked for, and had some celebrities in the house. Justin Allgaier's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s driver was there, and ESPN's NASCAR team was there, just hanging out, enjoying the festivities and whatever. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, and
Sounds like fun.
Rudel's birthday was this week, so we had family over, and that was good.
Happy birthday, Roodles.
Yeah, so like you said, there's been some White Sox news in the last week, and and obviously that one guy signed his contract today and is officially a member of the Dodgers. So we'll get into that in a little while. And I have seen some of your comments on the whole thing. So I want to get your take on the whole thing because you're all fired up about it to a point, anyway. As much
Yeah,
as you can
well,
be.
let me preface this by saying that as much as my comments, and I'll get into those comments in just a second here, but I just me, I like to play devil's advocate with everything. I like to kind of weigh things from both sides of the ball and honestly, at the end of the day, I could care less about I should say I couldn't care less about how much money Shohei Ohtani signed for and what the Dodgers are paying him and how they did it and how they found loopholes around whatever, you know, CBT, CBA, uh, threshold loopholes and whatever to get around playing, the AAV and deferments. I don't really care about any of that stuff because honestly, we knew he wasn't going to sign here on the South Side. I could see maybe Cub fans feeling a little weird about it because they were rumored to be in on the bazaar But here you go, little floating baseball for you
Now,
there.
you're
But
you're telling me that the White Sox were not going to sign Ohtani?
well, after seeing the way this
Shocking.
contract was, it it is something that maybe the White Sox brass didn't realize they could do because this is their kind of contract.
Yeah, I want to
Not
get
gonna
into
lie.
that a little bit later. I at least want to get into the stuff that matters to White Sox fans now, and then we
Right.
can go off on into that rabbit hole. I don't want to get too far into that whole thing.
Yeah. My original take on this was like, how the hell are the Dodgers going to make this money back? And how is the entire world saying that it's a lucrative deal for not only Shohei, but the Dodgers as an organization? It took me a little bit of time to wrap my brain around it. After seeing now how things are structured, it makes a little bit more sense, but at the same time, it just seems like an awful lot of money. And I don't know that I agree with any pro athlete being paid that kind of money right now, where we're eclipsing the next closest deal by hundreds of millions of dollars. But it's not my money. So I digress on that whole thing. I am a little kind of saddened by how they seem to have circumvented the tax threshold by deferring all this money and getting an additional $24 million per year discount on that, which to me is huge because I don't know, that's a top end rotation starting pitcher that you can add without taking a hit
What's up,
to your
Xavier? How you doing?
CBT. You know, the, it just seems it feels dirty to me. Uh,
Well,
I
now that we've
feel
got
like
that entirely out in the open,
I
um,
just feel I just feel like it's mm, it just feels dirty to me. It just feels like if 70 million AAV should be 70 million AAV, but you know, whatever. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Hey, you asked, man. I can't help myself sometimes.
So,
Oh,
White Sox made another trade with the Braves.
pork chop.
Go
What's
figure.
up, brother?
Look at that. Beefloaf's got you. Beefloaf's got your back.
Ah, thanks, beef.
All right. Another
Uh,
trade made with Alex Anthopoulos. And at this point, I mean, like, so everybody was kind of worried about the White Sox having a, quote unquote, first catcher because they were not ready to bestow their faith upon Corey Lee. And
can't imagine why.
yeah. Well, Chris Getz has, he's made a deal. And he picked up Max Stassi.
I still can't get enough of that pick of Getz, by the way. If you guys, I mean, if you're not watching us live, if you're listening on the podcast, you got to get in here live just once and see all the great stuff that Ian is doing with our
it's a
live
good
show
face.
here.
And I mean, he gets mad every once in a while as well. So
I do like his alter ego as well.
Yeah, his alter ego is good. But I don't think that this particularly calls for that.
No.
However, this is one of those deals where I'm not mad that they got another catcher. I'm just not even remotely excited. I didn't play at all last year. Had a hip for the first half of the season, and then him and his wife had some sort of complications with child, birth issues, and which is, brutal and not any fun at all. And I don't blame him for taking time off. But when you look and you see that, in 2022. His slash line was 180, 267, 303. And in 2021, you're at 241, 326, 426, which, 752 OPS, not terrible, and he's had a couple of years where his OPS plus, WRC plus are, above average. However, he has consistently been a time split guy, and I wouldn't expect him to be any more than that, as I assume that the White Sox want to get Corey Lee, the all-important, platoon starts, if you want to call it a platoon. I mean, I don't really know is that I could necessarily put Corey Lee in any kind of platoon whatsoever, because you would think that he would have to hit against one side or the other to be in a platoon. So, I am not exactly.
Is that how that works?
I mean, usually, you have to hit one side or the other to be on a platoon, and
he doesn't do either well. So
yeah, he
at least
doesn't really do
to this
either.
point.
Yeah, and I don't know, the Max Stassi thing. He does take walks. He's a decent catcher. I just, it's just another one in a increasingly large string of deals for players that don't hit. And, I mean, defensively, he's okay, but one of the things that Chris Getz said about improving the defense was because he wanted to get pitchers to be comfortable with coming to the White Sox. My question is are any pitchers going to want to come if you score 2 runs a game? I've asked it before. I'm going to ask it again. I have zero confidence in this team scoring any runs.
Well, unless Luis Robert is going to go out and hit 160 dingers this year, I don't know if 2 runs a game is even feasible looking at this lineup the way it stands right now. I mean, I don't know about you, but yeesh.
Yeah, it's rough. And generally you try and protect your hitters. I mean, right now what Luis Robert is going to have for protection, he's going to have Eloy and Moncada and Vaughn are going to be, on a little island. And, one thing that we've complained about with the White Sox is that, you've got a black hole in the lineup here and a black hole in the lineup there. Well, right now you're looking at about 50% black hole.
It's funny that you use the word island and Andrew Vaughn in the same conversation, because I'm sure Beef would say it looks like he's standing on an island when he stands at first base.
Yeah. I'm just, I don't know. At this point, like, like I said, I'm happy that we have another catcher, somebody that can come in and play right away, assuming that he's, not hurt. Let's see. A comment here from James. With the White Sox looking like a 100-loss team, would you look at what they could receive for trading Robert? I mean, I don't. They said that nobody's off limits, and
That's a great question.
I mean, it is, but at the same time, I've heard Beefloaf say actually on the Au Jus earlier, which is on at 6:00 on Mondays, usually. Tiny Andrew Vaughn. That he likes to have, a star on the team. And I was talking to some friends of mine, and they were saying about the Shohei Ohtani deal. Not that I want to get into this until a little bit later, but that some of them were happy that one of my friends said, "Hey, people like to see superstars." And I said, well, I'm a White Sox fan, so I get one superstar, so I like watching Superstar.
Right. Yeah, singular.
With yeah, absolutely. If they trade Luis Robert, there is zero really for a White Sox fan to show up and watch. And
No, yeah, you've got that right.
for season ticket holders, what do you have to sell to season ticket holders? What kind of enticement is there to sell any kinds of tickets, whether it's season ticket holders or even single game, for crying out loud, when you
Right.
have not even one very good player,
Oh man, I mean, you need to come out and see Eric Fetty, the KBO equivalent to the Cy Young last year.
I mean,
So
he very well may be fantastic.
yeah,
But
no, I was just being
but if you
silly.
score 2 runs a game, doesn't matter. Is
Yeah,
the
no,
question.
I agree with you 100% because and let's be honest, baseball has been kind of, up until maybe recently with the deadening of the ball, but for many years there they were trying to make the game a more offensive game because that's what they thought was going to keep fans invested, right? And garner new fans and younger fans as high scoring, more home runs, just the exciting fireworks plays and balls going out of the yard. And now we've kind of deadened the ball, and the White Sox don't really have any bangers besides Luis Robert. You did mention Eloy, but there's a lot of speculation out there still that Eloy isn't part of the White Sox organization come opening day. So I'm with you 100%. Like we have to definitely keep a guy like Luis Robert on there. I think my only answer to James's question is and we've said this many times on this show, is if you're an MLB GM and you're not listening to every offer, no matter who the player is, you're not doing your job. But having said that, it is going to take a monster of a package to pry Luis Robert away from the White Sox organization. And it would have to be one that would be so monstrous that it would keep fans invested in this ball club.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna lose a ton of your fandom, which I mean, let's be honest, is already kind of teetering on the brink
I
right
mean,
now.
yeah, you got so many people saying that at this point, they're kind of like at the end of their rope, and they're like, as long as Jerry's still here, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Which I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan, but that's
No,
just
right.
kind of the state of affairs. James says, I just worry that Robert is injury prone. 2023 was his first year being relatively healthy. He still missed 17 games. Hey, 17 games is nothing in this day and age,
No.
to be honest. But your concerns are valid. We've had groin issues. We've had adductor or all sorts of midsection injuries, thumb injuries. I mean, the guy's had a plethora of injuries. Yeah, your concern is valid. I mean, just the problem here is that Getz says that he's trying to retool, not completely rebuild. So if he trades Luis Robert, and when you talk about a haul, is the max value that you're going to get for a Luis Robert, is it going to be trading for mediocre pieces that are major league ready already? Because generally, when somebody goes to trade for a player like a Luis Robert, it's top prospects and
Right. And at this point,
middle of the
the only
road.
top prospect I want for him is Jackson Holiday.
Well, yeah, good luck with that. That's
And
the thing.
you're not going to pry him away from Baltimore. So I mean, honestly, like I said, you're listening to all offers, but unless you're getting that type of player back, it's going to be a no all day long.
Yeah. And yeah, that's exactly my thing, is that I don't want to let Luis Robert walk. I don't want to let a Dylan Cease out of here unless we are getting something, A, getting a good prospect, and B, also getting a fairly decent at least replacement level major league starter at one of the
Right.
positions that the White Sox are deficient at, and that's the problem where you're going to have a you're going to have an issue finding a partner that is willing to do that and not just a bunch of prospects,
Right. And I feel like dealing Dylan Cease right now would be making a move just to make a move, honestly, because you'd be selling low on him after the season he had last year, as opposed to maybe if they sold him off uh last offseason, this past offseason, you would have gotten quite a bit more with the extra year of control and the season that he had in 2022. Unfortunately, 2023 was not as lucrative as far as performance for him. And usually when you're looking for top tier prospects and major league ready talent to come back, you're looking for some sort of uh an extended look of high performance, and recency bias is going to kick in. And unfortunately, the most recent performances we've seen out of him, he wasn't awful, but he wasn't, top handful Cy Young vote getters either. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily, that recency bias is going to come that much into it. I think that, most of the people that are looking are thinking that Dylan Cease is at least, around a number two. He might not be the ace type guy that they're looking for, but you know, he's at least a number two. A
right,
very
right.
solid number two. And uh, James, I'm not hearing anything about a potential Cease trade at all. I mean, you know, I see a lot of impatience when it comes to people saying that Cease needs to be dealt. But at this point, I guess it's all what Getz is trying to get for Dylan Cease that's going to dictate whether or not he sends him on his way or not. And I mean, I'm fairly certain that he will be traded. I just don't know that there's going to be, a perfect, match for them unless you go the route of prospects. Beefloaf chimes in. If nobody is giving up a good package for Cease, I won't hold my breath on a package good enough to get Robert.
There you go.
100% agree with that. It's, when you're trading for top talent like that, if you are not looking for top prospects, I don't know what kind of value you're going to be able to get that somebody else that's trying to get somebody like that is going to give up major league talent because they're also trying to win playoff games and get into
Right.
the playoffs, So,
Yeah, when you're trading for a guy like Luis Robert or Dylan Cease, you're looking to improve your roster. You're not going to give away pieces that are going to help your roster. It's very difficult to find that type of trade partner
yeah,
and still remain relevant, on
unfortunately.
the White Sox end, right?
Yep.
You know, and like you say, if they were to trade either one of these guys with a quickness, if they were to try to jump out there and get it done faster than, or at least as fast as White Sox fans would seem to want, that kind of thing to happen. Uh you are in the point of full on rebuild, and we're back to square one where we were in 2016 and 2017, and we're looking at a 4 to 5 year process before the White Sox are opening the next window of contention. And I don't think that would sit well with fans at all after what we've just went through the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. No, I mean, most of the people that I have conversed with and have heard, putting their opinions out there is that if it's a rebuild, they got no interest at this
No,
point. So,
and I honestly can't blame them. It's been a tough watch. It's been tough for all of us. Beefloaf being here in the chat, will probably tell you it's a grind for the podcasters and the bloggers and everybody else to continue to keep doing what they're doing and keep I try to keep a positive face on things. Some of them haven't. Some of them completely lost their minds and gone off the deep end, and that's fine. I
And
understand that
just
too. Like
stop
you said,
podcasting in general.
well, that's the thing. There's also been a lot of them who are just dropping off the face of the earth. As they don't even want to talk about the White Sox
Yeah.
anymore. So, like you said earlier in the show, I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. You do you, and I can tell you right now that my grays are coming in quicker and thicker than they ever have before. But I'm here for the long haul, brother. So let's just do this thing, man.
Well, all
Hopefully
right.
the White Sox can do their thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully there's some. If there is a Dylan Cease or a Luis Robert trade, at least there is something that is worth it for enough for the fan who does feel that if it's a rebuild that they're gone, that there's at least something to hold them here. I just don't. I don't foresee there being a return that's gonna do that, but
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, either way, my talentless podcasting behind will be in front of this camera, whether anybody's here to watch me or not. So
Fair enough. All right. So, moving along here. So today, Francis Romero on Twitter, insider of all things of the international market, announced that the White Sox are favorites to sign Jurickson Profar's youngest brother, Jurdrick Profar, for around $700,000 when the new period opens on January 15th. He's from Curacao,
Toolsy.
just like Jurickson and his other brother. Great multi-tool talent, average speed, contact, arm, 2020 potential player. Missouri, show me state. We've seen the brothers and sons of all sorts of major league players. We've got Wilfred Veras, Fernando Tatis's nephew, Fernando Tatis Jr.'s cousin. We've had Elijah Tatis.
No more of a fan favorite than a certain someone's brother-in-law, though.
Oh, Yonder Alonso. Yeah, we've had that as
Hey!
well. One thing I did forget to mention about Max Stassi is that Chris Getz just missed the window there of trying to get a catcher that Shohei Ohtani was comfortable throwing to in Max Stassi. Unfortunately, he missed that window, and Shohei, because of that, and probably because of an incentive-laden contract offer from the White Sox, decided to sign with the Dodgers. So we are, again, with the brother-in-law, and not the brother. So anywho, yeah, like I said, Jurdrick Profar, I don't know. Is it going to amount to anything? It's just kind of one of those things where, again, we wait and see. Sox traded for Max Stassi, who had a better year overall value. Who had a better year overall, Stassi or Austin Hedges? That's a good question. I would say, I mean, neither one of them generally hit, but I would think that Stassi has shown a little better with the bat, but not as good with the glove, I don't think. Overall value, that's a good question. That's a tough one. I mean, I kind of think it's possible that it could be a toss-up, really. I guess it depends on how well Stassi hits. If Stassi, goes back to his 2021 number, then you've got a plus because he hit pretty well for the Angels in his first year, and they extended him for 3 years, and then that didn't work out so well.
Yeah, if we could get a catcher that would hit for a 750 OPS plus, a 750 OPS on a regular basis,
And has a glove.
and yeah, it can be a defensive catcher. I think White Sox fans would be thrilled, but the bat needs to show up. That's just all there is to it.
Yep. Yep. So here's Jerdrick in catcher's gear, which I wasn't expecting
There
to
you
see.
go.
But hey, maybe
2027 starting catcher for the Chicago White Sox.
sure, why
Jerdrick
not? Actually,
Profar.
speaking of, Baseball America did release their 2027 lineup. I'll bring that up in a few minutes here. But and there was another announcement made by Francis Romero. Yeah, 750 OPS plus glove sounds lovely. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. That's high in the sky. Chicago White Sox are the favorites to sign Venezuelan third baseman Eduardo Herrera, 1.6 to $2 million. So this is a new and pleasant development. Disregard the second half of this sentence because Fernando Cruz has been a favorite to sign with the Cubs for like 4 years. So there's no shot that he's signing with the White Sox, and especially not for $1 million because I believe the Cubs have him for like somewhere around like $3.5 to $4 million signing bonus. So he's not signing with the White Sox. But Eduardo Herrera, number 11 overall MLB Pipeline International ranked player. Again, I don't really know a whole lot about him. I've seen a little tiny scouting report about him here and there, and he's gotten a little too big to play shortstop. He started as a shortstop, so the glove's pretty decent, the arm's pretty good, but he's a little bit too big. Stop me if you heard that before. A little bit too big to be a shortstop, so they moved him to third base. So, again, we shall see where he ends up, and this is a little bit of a different thing, something that we're not used to seeing with the White Sox, that they are signing a young international prospect, and one of the ones that's ranked pretty high in the list of international free agents. Usually when the White Sox sign up for a guy like that, it's somebody like a Luis Robert or a Oscar Colas, a guy that's a little bit older, quote unquote, a little bit more mature, which, as we've seen, that doesn't necessarily translate just with the age,
Right.
with a bunch of these guys that they've been signing. I will say Lloydell Chapey was pleasant. Like the results started off good, went down, came back a little bit towards the end of the year, but he seems like a pretty well liked guy in the clubhouse. So, I mean,
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about getting these guys when they're a little bit younger too, because the whole process of coming over, internationally and doing that whole thing where contracts get a little goofy with tax purposes and uh you know playing time kind of gets halted, like we saw with Oscar Colas. uh this, when you get them younger, it gives you an opportunity to kind of give them some time to get comfortable, and you're not trying to force them up to the major league roster quicker than needs to happen, right? So they can come over here and kind of get familiar with the organization, hopefully get comfortable and get back to baseball and learn without being pressured to climb the ladder through the system.
yeah, I mean, and that's another thing, like when you talk about this kind of thinking that you want to shape a player, this kind of brings along Beefloaf's favorite coach that has been hired this year, with the major league coach, um, Grady Sizemore, and that might be the kind of guy that is exactly doing things like that. Not necessarily, obviously, with somebody that young, but with guys that are coming up to the majors and guys you're trying to shape and give a routine and trying to help them build their skill set going into what is hopefully a long career. Yeah, Grady. A long career as a Major League Baseball player. If they don't know what they're doing when they get there, a la apparently Oscar Colas, showing up, not having routines when he gets there, not able to figure out exactly where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. whether it be personal schedule, whether it be in the field. That's an issue, and that kind of seems
Right.
like that's my guess as to what Sizemore's role is going to be as a major league coach. I mean, you would think that they would have like at least some ability to give these guys direction when they come, but apparently we needed to hire a special guy to tell these guys where they need to be.
Well, I mean, all that sounds great, and I think you're probably onto something. But at the same time, we've talked about it before, where just having somebody that is a little bit younger, as opposed to an aging coaching staff, they can't really relate to some of these younger guys as well. And not only that, but the recognition of being a more recent player than, say, I don't know, Tony La Russa or Daryl Boston or any of those guys who are just areas, the Tony Turkey Trot. Um, I think that also lends to a bit of the comfortability that these guys can expect. And maybe you hope that maybe they even recognize Grady Sizemore from watching baseball when they were, in their younger days. And,
If they could get him when
and
he was healthy.
well,
Just saying.
there is that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just, it's just nice to see that there is a new direction. So, whether or not that new direction works, we'll see how all this stuff pans out. But it feels like the White Sox are, instead of going out and doing the same thing over and over again and failing epically, they're trying some new things. Whether or not they work is a whole nother story, but they're trying.
Yeah. James Hesterman asks, what does Jose Contreras do? So generally from what I've seen and how accurate this is or to what point we're talking here. And there were no results from Norge Vera. But the international pitching guys generally do see a fair bit of Jose Contreras. And he is a pseudo mentor to these international signing guys. As I said, there were not favorable results out of a Norge Vera, but that seems to be his role, is that he's helping them assimilate. And, somebody we should probably get on here at some point to find out exactly how all of that stuff works is Aaron Santana, who does the basically the international prospects and has helps them with their English and gets them working through all those programs. Should probably talk to her about some of this stuff because she would certainly know better than I do. But yeah, that seems to be his role. He is a quote unquote ambassador, just like Jim Thome. So he's kind of one of those things where he shows up, and when like spring training, everybody's together. He'll walk around, talk to guys. He does give pointers and stuff like that. From what I've heard, Jim Thome does exactly that, where he'll get into the cage with guys and he'll work with guys. So, I mean, they do things, but to what extent, I couldn't exactly say, So, as I mentioned, the 2027 lineup was, actually, I guess I'll start it here. Baseball America did put out their top 10 White Sox prospects list. And forgive me because I am just ripping some stuff off here real quick before I pop them up there.
Ripping some stuff off.
Yeah, I don't want to just
you get the air freshener out, man.
I want to get the whole thing up there instead of
you start spraying.
Instead of just putting
nobody go in there for 35 45 minutes.
Nobody go in there for about 30 45 minutes. Go ahead and do that. My apologies.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just go ahead and add that fact, I'll add all 3 of them, and it's going to be amazing. You'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
All right. This one. Boom. Go to there. Get us out of the way. All right. So we've got our top 10 for the White Sox prospects from Baseball America. Got Colson Montgomery at number 1, Noah Schultz at 2, Nick Nastrini coming in at number 3, Brian Ramos at 4, Edgar Caro at 5, Jacob Gonzalez at number 6.
It's interesting.
I was, I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit shocked to see that he's still there with the fact that we've got number 7, Jake Eater, number 8, Christian
Yeah, I was going to say,
Mena.
Eater should. I think both of those guys should be leapfrogging him.
I think that there is a considerable amount of latitude being given to Jacob Gonzalez due to playing a full season of college baseball and then full season with Team USA as well. And the fact that he's had results in all of those places previously, that they didn't want to use a couple of, it was essentially boils down to a few weeks at the end of a single A season to, say his, what his worth is. They're going to give him time. I don't think that they're going to say, yeah, he's already fallen out that quickly. I mean, he was technically a first-round pick, regardless of your feelings on whether he should have been their first-round pick or not, or whether he should be a first-round pick at all. But he does have that pedigree. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where he ends up coming through.
Yeah, tough to ding a guy when he's basically played an entire year of baseball, where it's the most baseball he's ever played in a single year in his life. And it's rough. But I guess when I say I'm a little shocked, I mean, Christian Mena had a pretty stinking good, year. Jake Eater, we've talked about him a lot here the last few weeks, and there's some pretty big expectations for him once he gets his gets himself stretched out and ready to go again. But yeah, man, I guess I can see where you're coming from. It's just kind of tough at the moment to see that, but if they're gonna give him the latitude, we'll give him the latitude. I'm with it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, it didn't go so well for him at the end of the year last year, but then again, it's also the longest season of his life, so I get it. He hasn't done it yet. So it's going to take him some time to assimilate, and we'll see where it goes from here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the top tools in the system first, and then last I will bring up the 2027 lineup that they are projecting, which is interesting. All right, so top tools. Oh, it's because I dropped it into that. There we go. Go ahead and make that a little bigger there. Best hitter for now. Here is where it gets weird. Okay, best hitter for average. Now, what White Sox fans have seen from Jacob Gonzalez would not suggest this. However, their best tools, best hitter for average, is Jacob Gonzalez. And I find this to be very interesting, considering the season that he had, even if it was only a month, because that speaks volumes about what is in the system, in my opinion, is that they do not have the utmost confidence in bat-to-ball skill set from the White Sox system, which is
that's not to take anything away from Jake Gonzalez either.
No.
Take that 1 month away, and his bat-to-ball is pretty good.
Fine. Yeah, but again, you got a guy that's doing it in Double-A, and then you've got a guy who comes to Single-A and struggles for a month. You know what I'm saying? That's my only comment on the whole thing. Best power, and here's another thing. Best power hitter in the system, George Wolkow. Kid is massive.
He's a pretty big boy.
Yeah, real big dude. He's got nice bat speed. When he hits the ball, it goes far. It's just gonna be one of those things where he's gonna have to work through the bat to ball skill. Not that I'm saying that I don't think that he could be the best power hitter. I just find it kind of odd that going into 2024 that they're already projecting that for him when you've got other guys. Brian Ramos, I think, won it in 2023, or not won it, but was named, as a top tool. I believe it was Brian Ramos. Could be
Yeah,
wrong.
that's the thing about Wolkow is, he's a big boy. I think if you look at him and you put him next to Gavin Sheets and you go, there's some similar looks, but they are not similar players. Gavin Sheets' bat to ball was pretty impeccable, and everybody thought he was going to hit for major power. And when he tried to turn the power up, the bat to ball went away. So, yeah.
Yeah, you keep on trying to project onto a player what they are without actually considering their skill set. It turns out that it doesn't work so well. Shocker.
No.
Best strike zone
Imagine
discipline, Colson Montgomery. Not a surprise there. Fastest base
No.
runner, Terrell Tatum. Not so much of a surprise there.
Yeah.
You don't have James Beard to kick around anymore, so Terrell Tatum gets that distinction. Best athlete, Colson Montgomery. Okay. Best fastball, Jordan Leisure. Looks real good. Looked fantastic in the Arizona Fall League. Looked great for the Knights. I'll take it. Best curveball, Peyton Paulette. I can deal with that. Noah Schultz with the best slider. Can't argue with that either. Seen some left-handed hitters just diving out of the way to get out, what they thought was going to hit them, and it ends up going right across the outside corner of the plate. So it's nasty. Nick Nastrini, best changeup. Best control, Mason Adams. No arguments from either of those. Nastrini's changeup is fantastic. Mason Adams controls pretty stinking phenomenal. And if you don't know who Mason Adams is, at Daily White Sox on Twitter, or X, if you will, look up Mason Adams. He's a guy, in my opinion.
He is indeed.
He gets outs, and that's the kind of guy I like. Best defensive catcher, Adam Hackenberg. Best defensive infielder, Brooks Baldwin. Absolutely crazy. Brooks Baldwin is guy that's calling the game is talking about Brooks Baldwin and saying that he's an okay infielder because he's starting at first base. Or because he had started at first base the night before. Next night, he's the starting shortstop, making diving plays at shortstop. It's another guy. If you don't know, go look. Looking good.
Plenty of video.
Yeah. Best infield arm, Wes Kath checks in. He made some
Not
strides.
shocked there either.
Yeah, he made some strides this year defensively. The bat is still a work in progress, and I'm hoping that the kid can figure it out because he's got some crazy.
He's definitely
power.
got a gun.
Yeah, he does. He's got a good arm, got a good glove, and he can hit the ball hard. It's just I think his batting approach is the thing that's going to take the most time. Best defensive outfielder, Jacob Burke. Yes.
If you haven't, we've been talking about videos. Ian keeps mentioning that there's plenty of video on our Twitter page at Daily White Sox.
B-Flow forgot about Wes Kath. Don't forget about Wes Kath. Wes Kath,
Jacob Burke.
He'll.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's hope Wes Kath figures it out. The bat's been a little slow coming. But he wants to.
Well, approach seems to be the new attack as far as what we're being told right now. That's the coaching staff is going to attack the approach for basically every level. They want guys to go see more of hitters' pitches instead of pitchers' pitches and wait for your pitch. It sounds like cliche. It sounds like a little league thing where you got 9-year-olds going up there and the coaches are saying, "Hey, wait for your pitch," but You got to be honest. After watching these White Sox the last few years, chasing all kinds of crap outside of the zone just because they can get a bat on it, and you're that good to get a bat on it, that's fantastic. You're awesome. You have great skill set. But now, why don't you wait for one that you can actually hit and do something with instead of trying to just fight one off and fight one through? And that's pretty much what they're preaching here.
Yeah.
So, hopefully guys like Wes Kath and others can capitalize on that mindset.
Let's hope.
But just getting back to Jacob Burke a little bit, like I was saying, when we talk about video, if you haven't seen this guy throw the leather around,
Yeah.
you definitely need to go watch the video of him. He is outstanding in the field.
He's a lot of fun. It's like I said.
He is indeed a
You
lot
know
of
how
fun.
they say that sometimes free safeties in football, they call them center fielders. He's like a free safety out in the outfield. Does the same thing. He's out there, just sees everything from center field, just goes and gets the ball. Doesn't matter where it is, he's on it. So,
Yeah, great jump, great first step, great reads, and if he can get a piece of leather on it, it's staying in the glove.
Yes, indeed. All right, so here's the 2027 projected lineup for your Chicago White Sox. At catcher, you have Edgar Caro. First base, Andrew Vaughn. Second base, Jacob Gonzalez. Third base, Brian Ramos. Shortstop, Colson Montgomery. Left field, Andrew Benintendi. Luis Robert Jr. in center. Oscar Colas in right. And designated hitter is Eloy Jimenez. Sorry. Number one starter, Dylan Cease still. Number two starter, Michael Kopech.
Okay.
Pardon? Number three, Noah Schultz. Number four, Nick Nastrini. Number five, Jake Eder. And your closer is Gregory Santos. I have some things to, Michael
Please.
Kopech is the number two starter. Apparently, Brian Bannister
I was just going to say.
has worked some wonders. And we now have gotten the aggressive, young, angry, powerlifting Michael Kopech back. And he has tamed his control issues. He is now the number two. Yeah, that one I find odd. Also, I mean, Dylan Cease still here in 2027.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know how that is.
Jerry Reinsdorf still here.
I mean, they must be thinking he's going to kick it before 2027 because
Yeah, a new owner.
I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf re-signing a pitcher and apparently a guy who is ace number one in your rotation.
Yeah, the stuff up top. I'm not going to yay or nay it. Sure, why not? I know that the Oscar Colas thing, I don't know. We'll see how things go now that he's got Mark Payton down there in AAA to show him what's what. And then when he comes back up to the majors, he's got Sizemore here to also tell him what he needs to do. Yeah, that one's kind of questionable. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't really see anything too crazy out of there. But, again, you've got so many prospects on here. You don't know who's gonna be the guy that's going to rise above. I mean, it could be a couple of guys on here that, a couple of guys that aren't on here that decide to pop themselves into it. I did send George Wolkow the top tools list that he popped on, and his reply was just got to get myself on that 2027 list now. So he's ready to go. He's gonna be rearing ready to swing. So yeah, we'll see.
Good for him. Good for him. Again, I think my biggest thing is obviously the remaining players that we know and have seen some MLB service time from. are players that we thought were going to be players of consequence at some point, right?
Hoping.
And there's a part of me that thinks they still can be with the right kind of direction. So, maybe, maybe Baseball America's onto something where they feel like the new coaching staff and the additional hires and the additional bodies and personnel that are there to, I don't know, coddle these guys, light fires under
Coddle
these
them.
guys. Well,
Give
some of them might
direction.
need
They're there to give direction.
right, and that's the thing. I feel like maybe, just maybe, somebody's buying into what the White Sox are selling right now. And obviously that 2027 list is just names that are part of the organization now. Of course, over the course of the next 3 years or so, uh there's going to be some moves made. Obviously, the White Sox aren't going to stand completely pat. We might get some more some more of these $1 and $2 million off-season signings in between every now and again. So who knows if that list stays the same, if those guys are all part of the organization. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's that. You mean to tell me Max Stassi didn't make that list?
That's actually shocking. You figure that they would have put out an update once that blockbuster happened. Um,
Right.
so you speak about these $2 million deals. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up
There he is.
our friend Shohei Otani. Uh,
Oh, when you said friend, I thought you were talking about the puppers.
well, I mean, his apparently his name is Dodger, so that's why he didn't want anybody
Hmm.
knowing what his dog's name was. So maybe he didn't want to show that there was some favoritism there.
Oh, please. Everybody and their brother. I don't even know why this thing was so long drawn out. Everybody and their brother knew for the last 2 years he was.
I mean, it was said. Officer Dewey says if they don't screw up the farm system, they will be big contenders very, very soon. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll see.
I mean,
I hope so, but I mean, I don't.
I love your optimism.
Yeah.
I really do.
So speaking of $2 million deals, Shohei Otani signs a $700 million 10-year contract. Today,
Must be
it's
nice.
announced that he will be making $2 million a year for the next 10 years.
That would also be nice.
And I mean, sure, fine, $2 million, nothing to shake a stick at, for a normal guy.
A regular Joe like me.
But after his contract's up, he will make $68 million a year for the next 10 years. And as
Also
you
nice.
went on a rant earlier,
Yeah, sorry. Can't help myself, man.
the
Diarrhea
collective
of the mouth.
bargaining amount that the Dodgers are going to get hit for on this $70 million deal, which is reduced down to $2 million, is coming in at $46 million per season on the payroll. So here's a question. So if it's coming in at $46 million now for the next 10 years, right? And he's only getting $2 million, and you're saying that it only comes in at 46. What about the 10 years on the deferral? Are they going to get hit for dollars on their payroll for the next 10 because they're still paying out that money? I mean, I don't think they will, but I mean, if it's dropping their penalty or, the amount that they're getting charged for a guy that's making $70 million, if it's dropping it that much, are they going to get hit on the backside?
I don't believe they
the
do
backside.
because I'm no accountant, and I would probably need to take some sort of short math class to figure out the inner workings of this contract. But the way it's been kind of roughly explained in some of the articles and tweets or that I've seen, or posts, if you will, uh, eh, eh, they average it out, and it almost seems like they're trying to average it out according to inflation over the course of the full term, and that 70 million over the course of the full term plays out to $46 million in today's money. I'm not really sure how that works. Are they using some sort of
There's got to be some sort of,
inflation,
creative.
like a set inflation
Yeah,
multiplier of like I don't really know, but if that's the case, I would assume that that ends at the end of the original 10-year deal and not the 10 years of deferred payments.
yeah.
That's just an assumption of mine.
Yeah, that's one thing that I have not looked into yet. Mostly because he is on the Dodgers, and I don't care. Um, but
Yeah, again, like
just
I
being
said early,
curious, I am kind of
don't really give a
curious
shit.
with them doing that if there is any kind of penalty on the backside. And as you said, there is going to be room in their payroll for them to shore up the pitching. Maybe send some guys to the White Sox for a Dylan Cease,
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, we look at and everybody's been talking since this thing has gone down about uh their lineup, their starting lineup, right? And the monsters that are there, with him and Mookie and just they've got a real battery of hitters, right?
Yep.
But their starting rotation's kind of garbage.
I mean,
I
look at
it's
this though. You've got Walker Bueller on his way back. You've got Dustin May on his way back. Urias got launched because of smacking around his lady friend.
Well, yeah, what a shame. That guy looked like he was going to be an absolute stud.
Yeah, it's obviously that's a that whole situation in general's garbage to begin with. But yes,
Yeah, it's something I'd rather not get into.
yeah,
But
I don't want to get into
right,
that either.
you're
But I mean,
right. I'm with
talented
you.
pitcher. He's gone. They have traded some of their guys that are a la Nick Nastrini. Traded some of their starting pitching, but they still do have a very good farm system. And Clayton Kershaw, he was pretty banged up to end the year. He's supposed to be, at least he hasn't signed with them again yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if he came back, even if it was like the back half of the season after he got back into pitching shape and whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of miles on that arm, though.
Yeah, but did you see him
Really
last year?
see.
He was still good until his body fell apart, until he got hurt. And then
Well,
he
and
tried to
that's
push
my
on
point.
it,
That's my point. At this point in his career, does he really bounce back? And if he does he bounce back for full season or a good enough a chunk of a season to make your rotation
Yeah.
something that is viable? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great
I'm just
question.
saying that I'm not saying it's like the worst rotation in
No,
baseball, but
no,
there's a lot of question marks hanging around that
there are.
starting pitching for them.
Even Walker Bueller and
Jacob May,
no, Derek May. Not Derek
Derek
May.
May, sorry.
What is it? Derek May? What the heck's his name? Something May. The ginger. Carrot Top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean there's some talent there. We'll see. Obviously what we're looking at right now, just like with the White Sox, what you see right now, Dustin May, there you go. What you see right now on the 26-man list on Dodgers.com is not what you're going to see when they head into spring training. Just like the White Sox, this is going to be completely different when they go in. WhiteSoxDaily.substack.com. You can find this podcast. You can also hang out with us on Monday nights on twitch.tv/White Sox Daily. You can hang out on our YouTube page. We are also streaming on our Facebook page, White Sox Daily. Just go ahead and search us up. You'll find us at Daily White Sox on the Twitter/X.
If you can't find us, you ain't looking.
True.
At least you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah. Any White Sox minor league related type person, or even White Sox for that matter, if you want to see highlights, Hop on our account. There's lots of video. And if you're looking, you'll find us. If you do a search on a White Sox player, odds are you'll probably see our videos coming up at the top of the list. Thank you for watching tonight. If you are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, thank you for following us. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for commenting. We appreciate all of you.
Indeed.
You can find this podcast anywhere you find your podcast. You can also find it on our whitesoxdaily.substack.com. We appreciate you guys. We will talk to you guys next week. Hopefully there's something relatively interesting to talk about. My name is Ian Eskridge. For my co-host, the Danny Miller, you guys have a great night,